New information shows that we have a lot going on with our weather pattern, especially as we go through this week into next week. Now, this actually got a lot worse, everybody. We still have our cool fronts coming through, but they're not going as deep. And the heat is coming back with a vengeance. Summer isn't letting go. In fact, this is going to be some of the hottest temperatures, especially the heat indices, that you're going to feel across the southeast as we go through the rest of this week. Plus, in the tropics, we have something into the Atlantic I'm not showing a big deal about yet, but what's going on in the Pacific, showing another tropical storm, another potential hurricane is going to be hitting over towards Hawaii. So we're going to start off with the severe weather first. And you see for yesterday, we did get a lot of wind damage and wind gust reports over here for Wisconsin. That was some wind damage and across the southeast as well. And we still have a lot of power outages, over 187,000 homes without power right now. We have Indiana still 84,000 without power, Kansas at 18,000, and Wisconsin at 18,000. Now, Hawaii is at 22,000 right now, and it could happen again to them. Now, for today, you can see the severe weather areas, and this is a lot of chances for winds once again for today. So here's your cities and states at risk for the wind threat for today. Now, we do have a tornado threat in a couple of locations for today. The one that's believable is the one towards Missouri, towards Tennessee, Kentucky. Everything else I don't think is going to form up a tornado. So here's your cities and states at risk for the tornado threat for today. So you can see as you go through the evening, you get some storms building up over here for eastern Nebraska, eastern South Dakota through this morning, all the way towards lunchtime. Then the storm threat builds up. You get storms over here for the Four Corners, for Arizona, going through Colorado and northern New Mexico as well. But what comes across for southern Iowa, Missouri, going to Illinois and Indiana is bringing some thunderstorms, but also bringing that little tornado threat over here that is possible later on this evening for southeastern Missouri, going through southern Illinois, western Kentucky. Then it turns into a cluster of thunderstorms, just bringing heavy rainfall and winds with that. But you can see it is a threat for today, showing multiple supercells could get strong actually for today, everybody. For northern Missouri, more likely would be winds for you. We don't have a lot of strong winds aloft. The winds aloft really kicks in as it moves over southern Missouri, southern Illinois, to western Tennessee, Kentucky Valley. Then for tomorrow morning, that goes across Ohio Valley, bringing some thunderstorms, and it builds up again for tomorrow towards the northeast, bringing a chance for straight line damaging winds, maybe up to 50 and 60 miles per hour wind gusts, showing it could stretch all the way from Long Island all the way across the Delmarva. And you can see thunderstorms spark up again over here across the southeast for tomorrow. Now, when you look at your winds aloft, it helps with convection, helps with lift, also gives you a wind direction change with height, chances for tornadoes. You can see how weak that is going through for today for southern Iowa, going through northern Missouri. But later on this evening, those winds pick up on those stronger cells going from southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, into western Tennessee, western Kentucky. And that's where your threat could be overnight into the early morning hours. Then again for tomorrow, as that goes towards northeast, bringing that damage and wind event. Could be some very strong winds. But you can also see with your lift, your cape, this is food for thunderstorms to feed on. As you go through the evening, you do have some lift for northern Missouri, but southern Missouri, it really kicks in with those winds later into southern Illinois, western Tennessee, western Kentucky as it goes overnight. So you have a lot of instability to keep these thunderstorms going overnight. Then again for tomorrow, right towards the northeast, as all that builds up, all the way from Virginia, going across the Delmarva, Delaware, New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, all the way towards Long Island. Could see a lot of severe weather for tomorrow. So the latest evolution of the 15-minute increments of HRRR showing as we go through later this evening. We get some storms across northern Indiana, northern Missouri, also for southern Missouri. But look how we go later into the evening. The northern scattered thunderstorms weaken down, and what goes across southern Missouri into southern Illinois, western Kentucky, those are the ones that's going to strengthen up through the evening. And bring you some winds with that as well. Showing the northern side will bring the 50, maybe 60 miles per hour wind gusts, but you see how it stops after northern Missouri. Then it picks up again for southern Missouri, going through Tennessee and Kentucky, while you get the storms building up over here across the Four Corners. For Arizona, New Mexico, the Panhandle of Texas, going through Colorado. So watch out for these thunderstorms as you go through the evening over there as well. Now for tomorrow, there's no tornado threat. It's going to be another wind threat. I think that could be raised up over here across the northeast. But so far, here's your cities and states at risk for the wind threat for tomorrow, for Thursday. Now let's go through your latest tropical updates so you know what's happening in the Atlantic, also what's happening over here in the Pacific. We have Invest 90E. It is at 70% in 48 hours, 80% in the next 7 days, showing a tropical depression is likely to form during the next couple of days while the system moves westward to a west-northwestward at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Almost the same track as Lala, a little bit further south though. In fact, when you look at the latest ensembles, you can see here with the GFS, showing the latest runs that has gotten a little bit closer, but the averages, it'll be away from the islands, but you're still going to feel the impacts of the rain and the heavy winds. The concerning factor that I'm seeing, showing the intensity models, this has a chance to intensify greatly, anywhere from a tropical storm to where it could go towards a Cat 1, Cat 2 hurricane very quickly. Showing in the latest atmosphere that we have a lot of upper level high pressure over here, and this is going to swing everything clockwise, so it's going to push everything towards that westward push. And you can see in the future model run that this goes further towards the west because of that, but then it skims right along the islands. Very close, literally in 5 days going right past. Showing with the Euro, you have a chance for a strong tropical storm going towards a hurricane. Also with the GFS, maybe even a stronger hurricane. Showing as you go overnight Sunday into Monday as well is going to bring a lot of impacts. And you just had Lala. Now, latest impacts. So far, the Euro shows a better case scenario. The winds are further away, but you're still getting a lot of 40 and 50 miles per hour wind gusts, showing mainly on the Big Island. When you go by the GFS, it takes it a little bit stronger. So, of course, it's showing stronger winds, and they could spread further north across to other islands. Now, when you look at your precipitation, this is quite concerning. Again, you can see this with the Euro showing further away. Remember, impacts go way beyond the cone. Showing a lot of heavy rainfall for the Big Island. Another chance for 7 to 8 inches of rainfall. Also for the other islands, heavy rainfall as well. When you look with the GFS, it shows more tropical moisture, even heavier impacts. So get ready over there, Hawaii. It looks like you could get another one coming your way. Now, so far, there's nothing by National Hurricane Center in the Atlantic for the next 7 days. And normally when we go through September, we get these high pressures going all the way towards Bermuda, swinging everything around into this direction. So this is where we need to watch for tropical activity. Not showing any threats to anybody, maybe towards the Leeward Islands over here by the Lesser Antilles, and maybe towards Bermuda. But so far it's showing it's going to be further towards the north and no threat towards the U.S. Now we look at the latest model runs, you can see with GFS literally going 8 days, showing something could hit over here by the Leeward Islands. Be aware of this model run being shown every single day by anybody, because this 1 is GFS, 2 is very far away, and 3 is not even trending, everyone. Matter of fact, if you look at the ensembles with the GFS, showing the only thing that could be possible would be something very weak. So out of 4 ensembles right there, only 1 is showing a chance for a tropical depression. The rest is showing that the dry air is too much and it's hindering it. If it forms later, it will swing around the high pressure as we might get a front-induced system maybe later down the road. This is going 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, but showing no threat by this by any means. In fact, you can even see with the Euro, which has been correct and very accurate all year, showing if something does happen, if it does become strong, it will be 1 or 2 chances into the Atlantic. The rest of the ensemble is showing a very weak tropical wave coming by, more likely to just bring in more tropical moisture. In fact, you can see here with your upper level moisture that you have this moisture pocket envelope right here for where this tropical wave is trying to form, while you have all this dry air. This is literally going 5 to 6 days. And you see how it pushes that around that high pressure. No threat at all. Then that next one that comes off, yeah, it's going to be a strong tropical wave, but it's going to go around an Azores high and swing around very quickly. This is while we're getting these fronts as well. Nothing can happen in the Atlantic, everybody. You can see this also with the GEOS satellite, showing if anything, it would be a very weak tropical wave just bringing some moisture, because we still have all this dry air and dust that's going to be wrapped around it. No threat, everybody. And you can see this chances for a tropical cyclone to strike. So as we go all the way towards the 24th, you see how it goes towards the west into the MDR, but then it gets pulled out further towards the north. No threat to anyone. In fact, new information just come out from our potential velocity anomaly, showing over here in the EMDR all the way through not only August through September, going into October, we're more likely going to get a lot of unfavorable environment. This is normal for what you see during a strong El Nino. And as you go through the beginning of September, we're still seeing that neutral to that little bit of that favorable. So there's going to be some fighting going on into the MDR, but I'm showing these are still getting pushed right out into the Atlantic as a fish storm, while all the convection, all the lift stays into the Pacific, and still maybe something frontal that we need to watch across the Gulf or the East Coast. That is it. That's been the whole theme for hurricane season, and I'm showing that is going to continue as we go through September. Now let's get to the updates on the data and the weather pattern coming around the corner so we know exactly what you can expect. Because we still have the cool front coming through this week. It's rather nice for people in the north. Remember, it has reinforced heat every single day. As you go through next week, that's the cool front that you're going to feel even better. I'm not showing it's going too deep anymore, everybody. So you can see this when you look at the data. This is your AO, your Arctic oscillation, the cooler air coming through. That little cool front that we have coming to the north as we go through this week into this weekend. But next week, it's a stronger cool front. But right as we go towards the very end of August into September, that cool air is leaving and we're going through another weather pattern change, a very sharp change. So you can see this when you look at your EPO, your East Pacific Oscillation. So remember, we have that heat coming across the south and the southeast. It's going to be some of the hottest temperatures you have as we go through this weekend. There's that positive EPO. When we go to that negative EPO, remember that's originating along the west and brings that cool front, that trough across the central and the eastern United States, showing that is still going to linger around. But if you see these sharp turns right at the end of August with the GFS, also with the Euro, if you take a look at your NAO, your North Atlantic Oscillation, this is what brings the cool air down. Remember yesterday, it's going to be a rare weather pattern bringing in a strong cold front, but it's going to change just as sharply. So look at this. We have that negative dip coming through, that blocking pattern with the NAO, bringing that cool front as we go through next week. But look how quickly these models bring this right back towards that neutral, even that positive phase shortly afterwards. So after you get this nice cool front coming through, there's a lot of heat that's going to come back, unfortunately. Now, I know this is not what you want to hear, and once again, I'm not here to tell you just what you want to hear. I'm here to give it to you straight, good or bad. Take it for what it is, everybody. Just always make sure you stay updated. Always follow the updates. Weather always changes. So you can see this as we go through this week. We still have that cooler anomaly coming through for the Great Lakes, out through the northeast, over here across the south that you saw. That's from thunderstorms. And we have that heat ridge building all the way from the west, all the way towards the south. Now, as we go into next week, this is with the Euro, showing that cooler anomaly will leave as we go through the first half of next week. And the second half is going to come through as well, but it's going to be weaker. It's going to be only for the north while this heat ridge builds again as we go through next weekend. And that is going to come further towards the east as well and bring cooler temperatures into September across the west. So right after this next cool front you get for next week, which is going to be nice, this heat is coming right back. Now, one thing to note as we go through next week, remember, GFS always takes these cooler anomalies a lot deeper all the way towards the south. And look at the heat that we're seeing on this model run. So not only is this not going all the way towards the south, because this is the only model showing a strong system forming, but that heat building is showing a lot stronger than what's expected as well. That is concerning. So look at this. This is by next Friday on the 28th. Showing by GFS a stronger storm, bringing those temperatures a lot further towards the south. When you compare this to the Euro, you see the cooler temperature still coming through with this cool front, but it's not going as deep. Also to note, with your highs for the day, look at this. You stay in the 70s, even the 60s. Whoever's in this cool front, this is according to the GFS. If it were to come all the way down, you still see the heat coming back towards the southeast. And look at this big heat pocket going from the south all the way into Canada and back across the southwest again. Now it's not trending. Look at the Euro. It's not bringing that heat far towards the north. It's bringing it more like on a northwesterly path like this with the heat. So I will keep you updated. This is obviously already going too far because GFS wants to keep bringing that cold front, that stronger storm for next weekend, bringing these 60s further towards the south. And once again, that's not trending, and you can see this with the Euro. Still a nice cool front, but not for everyone across the south. In fact, you see the latest updates with Climate Prediction Center. So for the next 6 to 10 days, all the way until then, we do have that average to that below average moving through, but you don't see this going far towards the south, everybody. And look at this big above average anomaly kicking in all the way towards Montana, all the way towards Texas and Louisiana. A lot of heat. And you can see this on the new outlook. So a high risk of heat all the way from the end of August, from the 26th through the 28th, over here for New Mexico, Texas, going through Kansas, Oklahoma, western Arkansas, might even linger into Louisiana. You do have that moderate section all the way from Louisiana, all the way towards Arizona. Plus, what you're dealing with this week is going to be some of the hottest temperatures you had yet. And you can see this from National Weather Service. Many areas may see their hottest temperatures so far this year or in the past few years. There will be little nighttime relief from the heat, and urban areas may not cool below 80 degrees. So remember the impacts, everybody. Major impacts affects anyone without effective cooling and or adequate hydration. The extreme impacts. This is the rare or long duration heat with little to no overnight relief. You can see this on the latest heat risk. So not only over here across the southeast, you can see this going all the way across Mississippi, Texas, Oklahoma as well, all the way towards the southwest, bringing that major impacts. But the extreme impacts in the purple is where you're not getting an overnight relief. So for today, for tomorrow is going to be there, is going to build even stronger. For Friday and Saturday, we're going to see that pivot happening. Then for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday is going to hang around for the south. Now, for your temperatures for today, you can see the hundreds building up for the southwest, also for the south central, while the 80s go further towards the north. You can see also with the heat index value that is bringing those strong 90s and over 100-degree temperature feels like going across the southeast. Now, overnight, we're going to get those nice cool temperatures of the 60s, even the 50s coming through. But over here across the south, this is where you're going to stay in the high 70s, even the 80s, and you're not getting no overnight relief. Then for tomorrow, the heat's coming right back. Again, even bringing 100-degree temperatures all the way towards Idaho, maybe even towards Washington, and the heat indices as well. So there you go, everybody. All your weather updates in one video. So I hope you enjoy the cool fronts coming through. Those that's going to be in this heat is going to get even hotter. So make sure you hydrate. Please check on your neighbors. Check on the pets. And before I go, a quick word from our Father, everybody. Romans 16:17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them. Amen. If you are hearing from anyone else that is preaching any other doctrine than the gospel of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, run away from them. That is a false doctrine, and it shall be cursed. Do not follow them. Do not associate with them, period. Remember, everybody, all glory always goes to God, our Father in heaven, Yahweh. And I always hope he keeps you safe every single day of your life and forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen.